In this video, we'll talk about the 3 places where we can put our styles. I've taken the site that we've been working on and I pulled it out of CodePen. And the reason why I did this is to show you those 3 locations. So let me just show you the HTML file now. So in CodePen, you don't see any of this stuff. But in the HTML editor, I'm using Sublime Text here as my HTML editor. All of this stuff I need in order to run this locally. So I've added this and this part down here. And all of this came from CodePen. And what I've done with the styles is that I've added them to a separate file called styles.css. And that is located in a folder called CSS. And you can see that styles.css is being linked to this document. So when we look at the document inside of a browser, it looks the same way as we saw it in CodePen. Okay, so to show you the folder structure there, I can see in my folder, I have the CSS file inside of here, styles.css, and I have the HTML file. Okay, so let's go back to the HTML file. So this is one method of adding styles to your document. It's the most logical method. You keep all of your styles in a separate file, and then any updates to that file will be reflected. The great advantage of this is if you have a number of pages. Obviously, a website isn't just one page, but it has multiple pages. So the advantage is that all your styles live in one place and they get applied to all the pages in your site. So by using the link tag, I am pulling in that style sheet. Now you can still have multiple style sheets. Like for example, you might have a print style sheet for printer styles. You might have styles that are just for a specific section of your site, and you can use that for those pages. But generally, on the whole, you can have a style sheet that's going to be the general styles of your entire site. Now, in the HTML head section, this is in the head section of my HTML document, which includes things like the title tag, meta tags. This is just a conditional tag, but I also can add in a style tag. So what I want to do here is take a look at what happens if I were to add styles here. So let's say that I wanted to target this H3 here, and I wanted to change its size. So I'm going to have to say that I want the header H3 and make the font size a lot larger and save my changes and look in the browser. And now if I refresh the browser, you'll see that this is much larger. So what's happening here is that the style sheet has the header H3, and it's specifying all these styles, 24 pixels. It's specifying the font weight, the font style, the color, but all of that is getting overridden by this style sheet that's here. So if you can imagine, you might have, let's say, 100 pages in your website, and you're linking all your main styles to this page, but then you have something that you want to override. Well, you can use this technique to override that. It's not generally something that you'd want to do, but it's something that you can do. The reason why you wouldn't want to do it is because an inline style sheet like this can get pretty lengthy. If we took all of these styles and we put them into our HTML document, that would add more characters to the document, make it a lot heavier, and it wouldn't load as fast. So generally on the whole, you don't want to really use this unless you're doing something like what we're doing here is we're overriding styles. But so we have external style sheets, which is this. We're linking the external style sheet to the document with the link. We have inline styles or an inline style sheet, which is in the head section of the document. And then we have inline styles. So I'm going to delete this and save my changes. Let's see if that brings it back. That brings it back. Okay, so an inline style is a style that's inside of the HTML element itself. So this is not generally good practice, but what it does is allows you to style or override styles. Maybe you're doing this to debug something, or maybe you're doing it just to test, but you generally wouldn't want to do this. Now, if you're coding HTML for emails, inline styling is done all the time. But generally on the web, you don't usually do inline styling. And all it is let's say, for example, that I want this H3, I'll pick this H3 again, to have a different appearance. So inside of the H3 element, I'll add a style attribute followed by equal sign. And now I can put whatever CSS styles that I want in here. So again, let's say that I want the font size to be 68 pixels. Let's say that I want a different color. Maybe the color is red. So if I were to save those changes and we're to look at this, and refresh, you'll see that those inline styles are overriding. Now the order of operations here. So an inline style always gets precedence because it's actually on the element itself. So that'll get the most important and will be rendered that way. The second thing that gets rendered would be an inline style sheet that's inside of your document. And then the last thing would be the external style sheet, which is outside of your document. Now, if this came after the inline style sheet, that would defeat the purpose. So the only reason why this works is because this inline style sheet is after the external style sheet. So that means that this style sheet gets loaded. The browser will look at this and will render all those styles, but then this style sheet will override any styles that you might have here. And then the inline styles, if you have any, will override these styles. So that's the order of precedence. Inline styles first, then an inline style sheet, and then the external style sheet.